he's sort of the villain in our story, but I didn't want him
Yeah.
to, like his class needs to be aspirational. Like
Yeah.
we want to be in his class. And when we end in his, not to
He's
ruin it,
still a
but
teacher. I mean, he still cares about he's really
he's a
into
great
the
teacher. He
quiz.
just, right. He just does exactly. He's very obsessed with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, every single, like I had our team of Talia, Heather, Genevieve, Jordan, Emily. Everybody was making art almost every day for that class, like for like 3 or 4 weeks to be able to get that classroom to where it was, because it was just an empty space that they're about to tear down, of course.
So I'll ask when we get to that, I'll ask about the thing. But this is the home, the
This is
Brooks
our home,
residence
yes.
home. So
Yeah.
this location, and you have your drawing there of cutting out
The
the
hole, yeah.
window
That's the good old
into
hole. And it got bigger and bigger. It even got a little bit bigger, but it was like managing expectations. Yeah, there it is. Um,
um but also when you're doing that, there's a like people you it's because you have to watch your kid. I mean, that
that was the other huge thing. And I also, and then Amber is an incredible filmmaker, and she had so many great scenes where you're watching, like when Rose is waiting while she's with her friend Rose,
yeah,
and mom is in the kitchen, just just seeing how this interaction is going, getting to watch her reaction is amazing. Or
yeah.
and that, like, just all these different moments. She wanted to capture how families are dealing with it, but not showing. And
Yeah.
so I think by, that window was huge, the open plan idea, but also that there's a little bit of, there's still privacy in a way. So, I mean, it worked out really incredible, but yeah.
There's a great scene where the mom's in the kitchen and the friend is in the living room, and it's
Um,
almost like a split screen with that wall
exactly.
right there that you have that picture of.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That was
it's
exactly.
it's like it's heartbreaking because you're like, I don't want to listen in, but I want to make sure everything's okay.
I
And it's
know. And
so
yeah. And then it's like, and she's so worried. And then Rose is more excited by Penny, and like she's
yeah,
like, oh, and does she not know what she's, she had no idea. She thought, and it's also mom didn't have any idea that it
yeah.
was who Rose was going to be. So then it was like,
So I'm having a friend over.
yeah.
I do. I don't. What is your decorator's name? Because now I forgot to.
I had Evan as a decorator, and then I had incredible buyers too, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, one thing I wanted to talk about on your show is the onset dresser. I had this incredible onset dresser, Deborah,
Mm.
who, by the way, I like, this is something I want to start in a campaign, but having the onset dressers come to Tech Scouts, like I've been
Oh
trying
my
to
God.
slowly
Would that be
start
a
it,
dream?
because they are the secret, like it's casting one of the most important people. They are, for both of us, they are the front line of our work,
Yes.
completely. So she was angelic. Like she was so in for all of the little things that Amber wanted. It's all the little things she wanted to show, the drawing in the corner, all the stuff that was telling story. And she was down for that. So that really helped.
The sets are incredibly layered and lived in and like really great. I mean, I pause things and look at it all the time. Like, what did they do? Oh, all the drawings over there and the but this and that. Because I also see as you see, like sometimes you look and you're like, oh, it's crowded and it's just stuff. Do you know,
Right.
like we're just like, oh, you're just putting stuff there. But when you're doing homes like this and it's meaningful, like this is why this flower is here. This is why, these books are here. This is
Right.
why this isn't here is
Right.
another thing. So it's incredibly, you know, im important to have the layering, to have the looked in, but it is the onset dressers getting that into the
Oh,
frame
yeah.
and
Well, and then
get
you
it in
have
there.
Penny, like I planned the whole thing with the cabinet and Penny in the opening, dumping out all those games. It's like, but then you have to reset all that, like figure all that out and play with, a
I
6-year-old
have
activist and everything. Um,
Right, I have this here that what you're talking about, the drawers being
and
open so you can
yeah,
access them
that
and
really came from research, like building, and also like that we wanted it still scotch taped at the end and the bottom. You see like the wooden handle. It's like,
yeah.
Chuck made it, Dad made it, but there you go. And then this kind of big, like we also really wanted then the scene where both Melody and Penny are on the ground when Dr. Catherine comes over, like that they're on the ground
Yeah.
and she's like trying to,
Oh,
she's like, Mom was, like, I know what's going on. This is my savior. This is like, please say yes to this,
I
what we
know.
think our kids don't hear, but they know everything that's going on. I love that Amber and, they really show that with this story is huge.
It's a great scene and it's one of the many where she's just struggling to be heard.
Right.
Even if she can't speak, it's great. But here is at first I thought, because I didn't realize, at first I just looked at it and thought, the cabinets, like, oh, that's great because you just don't want to look at cabinets the whole time. Like if you can look
Right.
into things and dress it, that's
That was
great.
part of it too, sure.
And then I saw the drawers and I was like, oh, that's really on purpose for the kids. Like then I clicked to me. Like at first I went decorator and then I was
Right.
like, oh no, it's real things.
Yes. So we want it. You
Yeah.
nailed it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just make things accessible and beautiful all at the same time. You know, backsplash, all the things we do, like every single thing in that is curated. I think I love curating, but also making sure that everything is useful. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, and everything would be in
Really.
that house.
I mean, I also love to, it's hard to place art when you don't have it perfect. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? And this is realistic. This to
Right.
me is like did they shoot it in this people's house? Like this is fantastic. Like
That's great.
you just put stuff up and
Yeah.
I love that and I love the kids stuff integrated and
The humanity and stuff on the stairs as it's
really
going
good
up, you
layering.
know, like there's some families and not, you know, like, and then the little characters on the right, because it's like we're foreshadowing what's going to happen toward three-fourths of the way, which, not to ruin it for anyone, what might happen, you know, like with what Penny does with those. So I think that was hilarious. Yeah, I'm just talking about color with Amber because she will not love you. Amber hates the color purple, which is hilarious. So, you know, some directors. And so
Yeah.
this wallpaper that we did on the stairs, you know, Heather and I designed it and it was great. And she approved it and she thought it was more blue. And then it came out and she's like, it's more purple. And so luckily in color timing, we got it a little
Color
bluer.
timing.
But I love it. It's just like, I love I love our relationship that it's like there's just nothing, everything we can talk about. And it's my favorite part, you know, like it's the favorite part of the job. It's like, because also your director has to still look at it and editing for a little
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah.
So you
Be
want,
distracted by things and
right.
there is though something I just ran into and this like sometimes people have opinions of their own and
Right.
it shouldn't be the opinion of this project.
Totally. It's so true. But
So just because
yeah,
I'm not saying I don't know her, but saying you
yeah,
don't like purple, purple might be very
I
intricate in
know.
this girl's world. Like,
It's great. Luckily, she was not afraid of color, thank gosh.
yeah,
So she loved everything else I did. So it's
yeah.
good.
And
Um,
the color, I love the pink. I had a pink bedroom. I
yeah.
love pink. I think it's just so great for a girl's room. This is your mood board for her, for
Right.
Melody.
Well, and this is a good thing for other people to watching the show is also I start to sneak in colors very early, even in my mood boards and the actual colors these days, because sometimes you get, you know, we're in the future when we start filming,
Yeah,
and it's like they forget, and I'm like, hey, and by that time, if I'm like, hey, is it okay that I'm going this wacky colors in a room? You know, it's too late, and then I have to already give it to Scenics and pay, you know, and so
yeah.
I entered it on purpose. This was like she saw this before we even, you know, everybody kind of approved this in a way before we even started filming. So it's like there was no surprises. And then even I could do the principal's office in the same colors, which was fun. Like I tried to make some
Yeah.
connections. Like, sorry, you're about to ask a question.
Oh no, I was saying I was looking at your floor plan that you have here of the floor plan of the house. So
Oh yeah,
I would think too, not just finding this house in this cozy little neighborhood, but you had to find somewhere where you could make a bedroom on the first floor.
correct. That was the other big one. And this was like a weird, like the whole closet thing we created, it built over a weird fireplace. So it's where it's like we didn't do stage work, but there was a lot of build.
Yeah,
And then and to have this great window world. But yeah, because some of them we looked and it was like they had the mother-in-law unit, but it was in the back. We
right.
wanted her to feel still like she was at home, even though she had to live downstairs. So that was, but this was all truthful completely, which was really great. And then you could have those wide shots and you're seeing her closet in the background and her like I love when you can connect all the nooks of
Yeah.
the spaces and it's all truthful.
What is
Um,
your Simpson reference there? What am
so that was originally it was supposed to be
my
I
friend,
think
my
her
friend,
voice,
she liked
not Jennifer Aniston's. And then we got
oh,
Jennifer Aniston's voice. We always knew Friends was a part of it, but it was written, one of the first scripts was it was like Marge Simpson was her voice. And then when we got Jennifer to sign on, which was before we started shooting, was like a huge win, obviously. And so then we leaned into that and kind of went away from Simpsons.
oh. I was gonna say that there's I mean, but then I'm like, oh, 2001. I'm like, but and the Simpsons have been around forever, so who knows?
Right.
I know.
It's also adorable because Melody, our actress, also loves Jennifer. So it's like, oh yeah, I love it still. Good work.
It's so great. I do
Yeah,
I love to like the wear and tear. Like I can look around this room now and be like, why did they put stickers on that? But kids with stickers is like a thing. I don't get it. I mean, I don't know if I don't think I did it, but like now you get stickers at like
Right.
every birthday party, you get stickers all the time. There's stickers everywhere, or like drawings. Like I have, the kids' art is so crucial in parents' houses where they come
Totally.
home with a bag of it every day.
Totally. Well, in the little family room, actually, I had my artist do Bart, and I had all these amazing characters. They were too good, and then we aged over, and then we did them again, and then aged over, just because I wanted also this place where that and really low on the ground, so that Melody's been actually
Yeah,
drawing, from the
yeah,
beginning,
yeah.
and that's where it's accessible to her. Yeah, no, I love it.
This too is great, the shots, because you have mirrors, so you see the reaction of her when even they're like across the room from each
Yeah,
other.
that was a big thing with Amber. Like also in the room when she's getting assessed, we actually built that whole set within a room, so it was one big space where she's assessed, and you're watching
Oh, right, the
her
mirror, the
having
window.
to see that this horrible doctor is thinking that she didn't pass the
Yeah.
test, and there's that window. Um, that and then I feel like there's another whole big window moment. Oh, when they're in the principal's office, and then she decides to come into the room. It was
Right.
kind of on purpose to do as much as we could to sort of we're seeing Melody and people thinking she's not hearing, she's not understanding, and she's understanding everything. That was really crucial in design.
Um, and making it note like the bars on the beds and like the
Mm,
parents lifting them and also not having things too, I thought for me, like too intricate of like how can they hurt themselves on this? Like you
exactly.
have to
Oh,
think about
totally.
all that. And like,
Everything higher too. Like I sent you that picture of like then the table that she can do her makeup and she can do her,
yeah.
jewelry as long as it's tall enough for her chair to be able to get it. And Phoebe was great as an actress too. Like everything I could put past her. Like even there's when she gets to her WizKid stand, I took that sample to her and I was like, "Oh, can you press the buttons?" Of course, she showed off and like was smacking, like almost broke my bottle, which I was like, "Okay, great, you can handle anything, thank gosh." So, she was
Why not? And so here is
yay. Yeah,
analog version of her communication board versus the meteor chalker that you designed, which
yeah, no,
to me, I would have thought that that was a real, like, I have no idea. Like, you're educating people by this too, by,
no, it's
creating these
great. I
things.
mean, this was all luckily, Sharon wrote the idea and then we had to make it visual and work. The best part about this was that Amber was so strong about wanting it to be interactive. So that was not green screen. When Mrs. B and Rose and Mom and Penny, I mean, we have a, 5-year-old actor, then these incredible actors. You want something interactive, let alone for Melody. So we, between Talia and Dylan and all the just team, we made it working. So actually, all those things that was just on an iPad, and then we made our cover to go over an iPad. But it was all could work in time, which was a huge part of the design to make that happen.
What was
And
your prep on this? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask because
we
like
had
this, you gotta send this out. Like you need time.
Yeah, this was day one. Like, I mean, we had a couple months, but this was day one of design. I mean, that's where Amber and I came to the table already ready to go. So, but yeah, no, it was just the design of it, getting it built, getting the color, getting it sorted, and then the actual, getting it functioning it was intense. It was a very like we needed every second we had.
Did she have the communication board? But she's already like in her real life, she already has like an iPad or
Real life,
something.
and actually the
What does
actress,
she have?
she can speak, she has
Oh,
voice in
oh,
real. So yeah,
wow.
so she's playing, her acting is that she's nonverbal, and actually so Thomas Ellison is nonverbal, who's our friend and consultant, and the way he sort of says yes or no, like that she kind of kidnapped from them, they spent a lot of time together.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, that's the big thing of just educational. CP has a variety. We
Yeah.
think of CP as one thing, and it can cause such a huge vast. There's common things, but not common things. So yeah. So, but the character she's playing was nonverbal, of course, and so that's where the device is helpful. Um, so yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah. Well,
This,
that's great. She's a good actor.
yeah, she nailed
The
it.
big room. Yeah, I mean, I found an empty trailer, by the way. So like I could show you the pictures of it. Like it was in two parts and we had to haul it across town and get
Oh
overload
yeah.
and then all the windows in it and put it there. But I love like collaborations with DP is really important. Like that back door, I just put that back in but he was so smart. No, he was like, he came in the day before and he's like, I'm gonna really see that door. And it was just a brown door. And we had this
Mm.
whole room all. And so then I had incredible scenics, Sue and team, and so they painted that. And of course, that's like what you see the most. So I
Yeah.
love that collaborations with our department where it's like, I think I've done it all, but then it's like it's always what you go in for the close-up that actually does matter.
Well, Michael, I think it's that we give them a full room and they pick the one angle that you didn't do. And they're like, this is where the majority of our shots are going to be. And you're like, I did the whole room. And this
I
is
try
what
to,
you're going to see.
I try to, I'm spinning
So
it here.
tomato,
I'm spinning
tomato,
it.
Michael.
I know.
Tomato,
I'm
tomato. They
spinning
could have
it.
just moved the
I know.
camera to
I
me.
know. It's all right. We had limitations time. So I'm like, and I had the time, I could say yes. So I'm like, I'm gonna give you more.
All
Here we
right,
go.
all right, all
Okay.
right. To me, if
So,
I was there in the room, I would have said, "What about over there? What about this cozy little reading corner we have? Why can't we just go over there? I created all
but
this with."
then, but then can you leave with their phone? So they can do whatever they want. So there you go.
I don't know, and then I leave, and then I'm like, whatever you want, whatever. Well, and then
I
you
call
the
it
dresser has to deal with it.
my latest is I'm like, I give you crayons and you play with them. Okay, great. So just let me know what crayons you want so that I can
Yeah.
get all the right crayons. So,
um, the I
yeah.
it is very important that you have this view of the field though, because that's
Yeah. So we built all those windows into the trailer and then had to put the trailer holes back. Yeah. So that we could, and that real soccer field there. And that's really where it was in the school too. Um, and that whole, actually, we built, there was a ugly ramp that went down below. And this is talk about script writers. It's good to write in a garden. We finally had to write in the garden scene. So could get the budget to build it. So we could build that garden in between their trailer and the
oh
school.
yeah.
Otherwise, it was like so ugly and so horrible. And Amber's like, no, I want a garden. I was like, okay, but it's not, I'm building a lot here.
Yeah.
But we wrote it in and then I could build that garden in between and the ramp and everything.
So the school, you
Yeah.
did you to me, I was like, oh, did they have to film a school in the summer when there was no kids there? Like, or did you found an empty school? What'd you have?
It's an empty school that was about to be shut down completely. So it was just totally empty. So yeah, it was just a big empty palette. And even down, it was an elementary school, or even no, it was a high school. So actually, I'm glad at the last scene you see the parents in the hallway, but we took all the lockers out so I could make them more cubbies for elementary kids, which was
Hmm.
a lot of work, but really worth it. And then all the work in the hallway, that was all done. So yeah, it was just, we had, having an empty school, we had it for 3 weeks of prep. I could bring the trailer there, which was so
Yeah.
important, placed, and then, we could paint the principal's office and just keep adding layers. And then this room, just adding layers upon layers upon, like you just, it would, it's like a sponge, to get this, it's like, that's Jordan's characters he created. I think that's, Emily's and Heather, like they decided to go doing some Picasso stuff for a while, just keep adding layer upon layer upon layer. Took weeks, but we had the time, thank
Yeah.
gosh. So,
It's hard to do a classroom in like a day. Like they're like, oh,
yeah,
it's a classroom, you
no,
have a
there's
day
no
prep,
way.
and you're like,
No, yeah, we wouldn't have been able to do this. We had the time because it was ours. That became our soundstage really. I was like, well, we don't have anywhere else, so just give me the school as early as you can because nobody
yeah,
else is there. And we
no,
could
that's
paint
great.
all the outside, we could do that was all painted and yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, the wide on this and like making it all make sense and its history
Yeah.
and building on top of your, sorry to say, ugly brown putty color and like
Right.
building life off of that. And yeah,
Totally. And
yeah,
making his hilarious corner, like we made him like, Mr. Deming's awards and all his stuff was in the corner and the best teacher in the world. I mean, he is, and then the chalkboard, changing that, like
yeah,
I had a whole graph system of who each day, because we're there like 4 different days and what was on there, like that was all done from scratch with the scenics and on-set dressers. Like, I want it
it's
real.
usually my handwriting.
Yeah,
My,
totally.
it's like,
Yeah,
and then
for
they're like,
sure.
oh, somebody accidentally erased something. Where are you? And I'm like, I'm 50 miles away at another location
Right.
now, so you go for it. Like, like
Now,
that's happened.
now that has usually happened to me too. And so that's why I'm like, it needs to be somebody that's there's writing. So who can so it's
Yeah,
one of the sets. I was like, because you're gonna have to change it if we have to. Because Amber, I know Amber, she's gonna be like, it's too clean. Let's mess it up a little bit. Like, okay, great, but we can't
yeah,
replace it.
yeah. And I mean, they're in the classroom a lot. Like you said, 4 days. It's like, and there's like montage in there, I think, and like it's a
Yeah,
big
it's a big deal.
character. It's a big
Yeah,
character.
all those desks we brought in, getting the right desks. But then also you didn't want it to be easy for her to come through that first time, all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's fun. Gotta love
Um,
it.
I love
Yeah.
the Whiz Kid set.
Okay.
So like the story is
I have,
they have this teacher and he's all into this Whiz Kid competition, and then she tries out for it and things happen, and then they get to go, and designing any sort of like game show pieces is
oh my
always fun.
gosh.
It is. It's always fun.
It was pure delight. And then to have like this incredible construction team that had the CNC machines. So it
Oh
was
yeah.
back, we designed these beautiful pieces that are just, not hugely, expensive. It just took some time. And each one had like drama or theater or science little ideas. And then it's like big enough that we knew they could be behind their heads, but they could just be these little flats and kind of, I love nooks. So that was kind of the key to have them all kind of behind her. And then getting to paint a floor is always fun, which
Where
is
did
great.
you
But
shoot this?
it was this really great theater in Toronto with this big weird red kind of world behind
Oh,
it,
wow.
and so it was just
Yeah.
an empty stage,
Mm.
which is always fun, and they were fine with that. And then we also then made all of the buttons and all the scores interactive, so it was like a lot of time with special effects, which I think in post they ended up kind of doing it, but at least we made them real for the A and the B and the C and D could actually really work. This is, by the way, Tom, who I was talking about, who's become
Oh,
so
that's him. Oh, nice.
that's him playing in Melody Stand, and Amber directing Phoebe in the corner. Of course, as you see, we were also still in the height of COVID. So that was really fun. But that's Amber.
Crazy. I'm still talking to people who have filmed things through COVID or after COVID, or like, because the ripple effect afterwards was a long time we were in masks and still
Yeah,
getting
totally.
for
Well,
TV.
and Amber and I did New Man of God, which was like in the height of, so it was like I created sets that could have ventilation openings. Like
Oh,
we
wow.
did one whole set was like 7% in one room. So it was like so that they could after like 10 minutes put in the tube for ventilation. So it was quite a time.
I
Quite a time.
love the boards back there. I love,
Yeah, those are the ones that like just to have the scenes, like to come up with these fun designs, but then it goes back to then what's going to be fun and close-ups behind their head.
yeah.
And to find these colors that were simple, and these are all Mrs. V's room. It was like, let's use some, like, because in a sense, it's always we think it's sort of from Melody's imagining. Like we want it to be their imagination. And to watch Phoebe the first day, I still get emotional, and then it's in the movie too, with when the stage manager brings her on, but I
Yeah.
got to be there for the first time she came in, and to get to do this story that is so important and start to cry right now. It's just like
I know.
getting her to her her stand, and it was just like it's
Oh, I'm
really
sure there were many like tears on set. I can't imagine in some of these scenes that it's just not heartbreaking, even just to film them. I mean,
yeah,
it's
no,
nothing,
the power.
it's nothing overall like bad or cruel, like, but it's
No,
just
it
day-to-day life that can be so hard. That's what it's like.
well, but also then the flip of just the power of getting to do something so positive. That I think that
Oh
really
yeah,
getting to
yeah,
show somebody that you think doesn't have anything going on there and actually is the brightest kid in the room.
yeah, yeah.
It's like that. I think that alone is just so important and such an important story to be told.
And then there's the floor you were talking about painting. The painting floors is fun.
It's always fun.
Graphically,
Yeah.
it is really fun.
And to match the board, it's like that, anyway, all the time. I think I sent you like the behind the scenes of making all these, and it's like it takes a while, but yeah, and I love their names and the little
Yeah.
shapes, and yeah.
Fonts and the color palettes and
Well, and then also the best thing is then, figuring out when she's supposed to be out of like looking at the set, and like the moment when she takes over and does kind of the next round, that was not really planned of like, how do we do that? And it was like, I'm like, we have to do a little tiny time jump because then,
right,
so we don't under why, and then put them in the middle. That was the thing of like, well, should we
right. Bring
shoot
them in.
them at their things? Bring them in. But those are those little moments where it's like, if I didn't run back to set from the past or present, it would be this disaster. It was like, no, we hadn't thought about it, but it was like, I promise it'll be fine. We just bring them right in. We're good. Done. Moving on.
Um, what? How many days did you have in the theater? Because if you did paint
Well,
and
we did that. I mean, it was also this great thing that like that weird doctor's office that we built was just like a big space that we built that
right,
was upstairs there. So that helps. I always love because I love getting to show people things while they're happening too.
yeah.
Is such a great experience so that they can plan things. Because you do and you do, but you don't. So I think we had like at least 3 or 4 days in that theater, which really helps,
Oh, that helps.
get
Yeah. Get it in. And then you have your scenery from the museum
Yes.
that then you repurpose, which I would have never known if you didn't show
I'm so
me.
glad. I'm so glad. It's one
Cinema
of my
secrets
things very
here.
proud of. One of my favorite. I mean, we made these beautiful things for the museum, which are seen, like, but they're not, of course, I love Amber, but she loved mostly that location, like the beautiful wall that's there. Like, great,
Yeah.
that's why we're there.
Yeah.
But we saw them for a second, but then I was like, but then I have to do this entire mall that's empty. And like, what do we do? And it
Ugh.
was kind of working with my great construction. I was like, let's put them together. And all of a sudden, they're dress stands and change a few little things. They're already built, so why not? And then put plexi on the shelves and they can be made. So I think it's just, I did that even like it's kind of, I'm known for it. It's like after sets kind of go, and then what happens is that you sort of build sets and then they kind of go to the corner, and
Yeah.
I'll arrive at the, it'll be like 6 in the morning, and my construction team's like, oh, hello, and I'm like, I'm kind of looking through. I'm looking through our kind of backs. I was like, oh wait, can we use that? Even just for that fourth wall, they say they're not going to look that way, but I bet they are.
Yeah.
And which is always, it's like,
Because they're
so I love.
liars. No, because they want a shot. They want the shot. They changed the shot. But that's why
Exactly.
we're here to be ready and prepared for them. I also I've done many of a like, oh, here's a blank mall or like here's a blank space and
Yeah.
just make a whole store out of it. That's a very expensive
Right. It's not,
like montage.
yeah, thank you. Exactly. And then of course, when they're dancing, they of course are spinning around for 360, which is one of my favorite moments.
Yeah.
But it was like, so I got tons of curtains, like back walls hiding all the crew on this whole set are just curtains, glitter curtains up there. I'm just put up as
It
many,
works.
it'll be fine. We can
Well,
spin. Sure. Go
it totally
360.
works in her imagination too of how magical this moment is. Like I'm getting to hang out with my friends. I'm at the mall. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
no, it's
It's all
great.
part of the fun.
I didn't put that ramp in here, but where did you do the airport?
So the airport was weirdly in Toronto. They have a weird side of the airport that is not working, but it maybe is just for like weird destination trips. So it was a real airport. Oh, actually, though, but the ramp and the elevator that they can't do is in the theater building. So that's like another thing we
Oh,
could do. That beautiful ramp that she loved. That's like Amber's favorite set is like the ramp that goes
the
up that
ramp.
you can do the fisheye of her trying to get up. Um, and then we had to bring in, of course, TSA. We had to bring, it's all the stuff you have to bring in into an airport and design huge art that barely is seen. But you got to cover everything. You got to do it.
You have to.
We were actually given an airline too that was a real airline that you sort of see. So they gave us a lot of their GAC, which is helpful too.
Were there specific details that you got um that you didn't find in your research that you only got from I'm blanking on his name, the guy who was your
From Thomas or
the,
Thomas or we yeah, I mean, I
something
think,
you would have never thought of, like you were like, oh, thank God we have this guy here. It's like,
well, I mean, he just in general, like, and his dad too, of just experiencing everything. I think from both of them, um, I think it's also just the joy of me. I mean, Tom's also in the scene where we're seeing her through the window, and there's the couple, and he's actually
oh
using
yeah,
his
he's in the waiting room.
and that's the tango that him and his dad designed, which was hilarious because there was a whole thing of like, they're like, we don't want to use our tango. I'm like, please, you did it. It's yours. Like, we can use it. Please let's use the tango. Um, but I think that was a big important for her to see, this hot couple, like her future and like getting to go on dates and what that's like, I think that's really important. Um, I think, I mean, for me, it was more also with Melody, Phoebe, just her joy. I mean, once putting her into that Halloween costume, like seeing her joy and like her, and also just her, she had a, I felt not to say like she's the Al Pacino of the set, but it's like the way she would come in and around, like she was always so fast. And the same, I go with Tom to go see a Broadway play in New York. And it's like, how crazy a Broadway outside shows. And Tom's careening down to meet me, and he comes in and meets me, and like people are just jumping to the side, and he doesn't even mind. And then it's like he's off and he's off and he's gone. And I just love the power. Like I think that's a big thing. Like I see how much the chair gives them so much power in this really
Right.
wonderful way that and responsibility of themselves. And that's not something I think I probably thought about before, because you think of, she says it like, don't push me. I sometimes need to push, but don't push me. And it's like, when you're in a chair, you can have a lot. They're so advanced now, which is so great that they
Yeah.
can have a lot of their own, world.
When you were doing, because there's the one part where the father is bringing the ramp to Rose's house and
Oh my
everything.
gosh, yeah, totally.
When you, was there specific, I guess, just for my own curiosity, is there a specific radius that they
That's
cannot
I
do?
love that you brought up all this because it's also I'll get even more personal with the van. So the van that they're using and Mrs. V is using. So my dad got in a chair in the last 5 years of his life. His kind of body froze. So we had a crazy van that then with the ramp, it gets so heavy at that period that going over bumps is really hard. My mom would be so stressed driving it. But then we would have those little ramps that you did. And so that's kind of where I went with Rose's house. I'm like, we have to make it as uncomfortable. We need to have the stairs. And so I actually have a video of me trying to practice with it. And it actually didn't work. Like we had to build a little lip at the top of Rose's house to be able to make the ramp work. So luckily we planned it all, but it actually, even those ramps didn't work to get her into Rose's house. Like it's not accessible. It's like these simple things we think of, but the way the size of those cement steps and those
Right.
ramps just didn't work. So it's like, no, it actually, so you're onto something. It's like, yeah, there is a science to it, but it's not easy. And
Yeah.
things have to be built accordingly. Um, so yeah, no, I think that was a very good thing for you to bring up.
I thought about it too because of the scene where the her mom puts
Oh,
down the cardboard and
right.
like, which is
Huge.
like, okay, that's uncomfortable. But then I was thinking, but how, but that's a sin. That's the only room that chicken girl in. And then she takes the cardboard away as
No,
if like you stay
like you're
here.
stuck. Yeah, you're there
You're
now.
done.
We're done here. It's such a
Here.
great,
It
great
was,
scene. And has no idea that that might be awkward. Like that's okay.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really glad we kept that whole world in because it's also she's not a villain too. It's like once it's these things that
No, no,
that
it's
it's like it's just you just don't think about it. You think you're being, but you're being so rude. Like it's so rude.
were there any colors that were off for you? Like we don't want to use black or we don't want to like, was there anything?
I mean, I already admitted purple, but I think I love I'm definitely a designer that's a story designer and I come from theater. So, I sometimes get in trouble in the very beginning. People are like, what is your colors? And I'm like, I don't sometimes know. But I think I started going into her worlds and pinks and then really wanting to have the principal be as wacky, like all her interactive things that she's got in her room, like, and she's a love principal as well. Like there's big banners that she's the most wonderful principal in the world. Um, so I think, I kind of started leaning into colors. I don't know, if there was things I avoided. I don't, I wanted things to still always be real, even though there's great colors, but we could get away with it with Mrs. V. We could get away with it in the Whiz Kids. It's like, because
Yeah.
I still want it to be something that, even like the fun thing that you created for my name here. It's like, I wanted it's still, a teenager movie. I want people to really want to watch it. Like that's, it's entertainment too. Um,
I think too, I mean, I know it's funny that you're doing it this documentary now, but it does seem documentary style in a sense of like the realism of the classrooms and the home and the layering and everything. Like you definitely achieve that of like this is her house. Like it doesn't look like a set. It looks like I
super
to
important.
me, I would be so glad as the decorator that you shot it in a house
Right,
because
right.
I mean sets are great and everything, but there is always something about like the realism and the layout and the almost the they can't do what they want to do with the lighting. It has to come from this window. It has
Correct,
to,
correct.
like that helps us so much sometimes the
No, it's
limitations of
huge.
lighting, you know.
Well, and it was interesting. We went back and forth with a big window for blinds or not. It's like that's always the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we need to have it open. It's like we want that opening scene of her there. Like, can we get away with not having any curtains there? Like that would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
So that
that's
was
the big choice because so many times we're told like you go in a location like shear it, just put
right,
shears on
exactly.
it, like just we'll
Right.
blend it out or whatever. It's like, but there's such a story point for her to be able to look outside and everything. And so to embrace that
Yeah.
is really great too.
Yeah, no, it was really fun to get to have. and I think it's once again just having the time, and the DP was Noah was there for a long time, and him and Amber, we could really work through things and make it actually all your dreams come true.
Yes. Yes. That's
um,
all we want. Our dreams
I
to.
know exactly.